everybody. Welcome, everybody. I think we are live. My name is Allison Lupo. We're so glad you're here. Welcome to Two Wavy Girls on the Internet. I'm Allison.
And I'm Courtney, Swavy Curly Courtney, that is. And we celebrate all things wavy curly and wonderfully real.
And we play around with all the products and we read the back of the bottle so that you do not have to, although we do teach you to do that because that is a fun thing to learn how to do because science is everything. We have a guest. I don't know if you are seeing him if you're watching this live already, which a number of you are. Hello, Wes Sharpton. Would you like to introduce yourself from Hairstory? Oh my gosh, he is extraordinary. I will just give him a quick intro, but then I'll let you take over. I have interviewed Wes several times. Wes has interviewed me on the Hairstory website. He's obviously amazing. He's been a stylist for 1,000,000 trillion years. He's worked for Hairstory as an educator for at least the last 5 years. Yeah. Absolutely an amazing human. Understands hair, understands products, understands technique, and just an all-around fantastic human, and is luckily, I feel like, located now in Oklahoma, which I hope I'm allowed to share because he's basically our neighbor now, and we love that as two Texas girls. So welcome, Wes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is so fun. You know, I always love it when I get to like hang out with folks. Like, I think that this is such an amazing time that we're all in, right? Like, I feel like it's so unique because people really get to kind of specialize and like focus in on what they love, which wasn't always a hairdresser's path, right? Like, you know, I have, you know, when I started, like you said, many, many moons ago, we were rubbing some feet, y'all. I was rubbing some feet. There was no, you don't get to not do this. You said you better learn the.
But you were a generalist. You were a generalist through and through.
Exactly. And so this is such a cool time to find, you know, folks that are really kind of like, I love doing this. And I love informing, educating, teaching my clients and really being able to do that. So I'm so excited to be here with y'all because I really look at you and I go, these are the experts, you know, in their fields. And so it's so exciting to be here. And I love just facilitating conversation, like, you know, as well. So I think that's always so fun, which is why we've got to hang out many, many times, many, many moons.
And hopefully many more times to come.
Yes, please.
So you guys be sure to pop questions up in the chat. So any questions you have from Wes, we'll just be answering this as we go along. This is the theme for the day. We will be talking with Wes about all the interesting things. We also will be talking about, just as an overview, our Two Wavy Girls Grateful Curls Challenge. Wes, I'm surprised you at this. We're doing a 30-day challenge. If you do not have your sheet printed out, look, there we are being ridiculous. I stuck us on there so we could stare at you while you're doing your challenge. We'll talk about this in a little bit, but if you want to go ahead and pull yours up, and if you don't have this yet, you can find this at, I made it like a friendly link for this, so you can find this at bit.ly/TWG challenge, TWG for the wavy, Two Wavy Girls. So TWG challenge. That should be a pretty easy place to find that, to download that, and then get started. Wes, I do have a question for you based on what you just said about hairdressers getting to specialize these days. What do you think has contributed to that? Why are we so lucky that we get to do that now? Like Courtney starting as a specialist, myself starting as a specialist. I know that we had online platforms working for us. Do you think that's the reason that this happens now? What do you attribute that to? Why am I not rubbing feet?
I mean, exactly. Unless you love rubbing feet.
I don't mind.
You're rubbing some feet all day. God bless. So I think the thing is this, it's really, I think, you know, this is a larger conversation in terms of, I think there's been a shift in our industry and we are part of that cultural shift where prior to this movement, beauty was, as a hairdresser, you were bringing beauty to the beauty industry, meaning you had to learn how to wield hair to your demand. And I think that clients have shifted, and I think hairdressers have shifted to say, actually, I don't want you to make my hair something different. I want you to make it the best version of itself. And in that, when people really kind of go, you know what? I love waves. I love curls. I love blonding. I love this. That means that you get to go into like the nuance of that area, right? Like you probably, like, you know, for me, it's like, you know, I'm a razor cutter. So I know what the slightest tilt of that blade will do in that nuance, right? Like I know that this little tweak is going to transform the effect that I get. Whereas I feel like, you know, for y'all, like coming into this, it's like, I feel like you probably could look at a root and go, I know it's going to bend like this.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, you know what?
Yeah.
It's like people want to feel, I think that there's space now for people to be celebrated as they are. And so we are doing that work of being like, you know what? Like, okay, if you love that thing and I can help you look your most authentic self, then let's get down to the business of doing that. So I think that movement. And then I think that because we have control, not full control, but we have somewhat of a control of our own marketing message, right? Like before you would have to, you know, if you wanted to get a ton of clients, you'd need to hope that Anna Wintour recognizes you and puts you in Vogue or a magazine. There was a gate that you had to go through to get to the other side to get that level of recognition. Whereas now, you know, you kind of have your own, you know, channel, right? Like we're here recording this, you can talk, you can do it. Now, I'm not saying that like everybody gets this, but you know, at the magnitude, but you can reach more people.
At least it's accessible to anyone who's passionate enough about a topic and eloquent enough on a topic. You have a shot in getting in front of a ton of people.
You have the opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think it is? Why do you think that people are, that there's this movement towards specialization, and not just in cities? You know, let's be clear on that, because I think some people think it's.
Yeah, I don't live in the city. I live in the sticks, and I am proud of it.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think that shift was that occurred for folks in our industry? What do you think?
You know, before I started, this was probably back in 2015, 2014. I personally, I had just started staying at home with my daughter, who was brand new, was like 8 months old. She was new human, and so teeny. She was like just over 4 pounds. I am not even kidding. She was the smallest thing in the whole world. She was so little.
Wow.
And I started staying home with her for a little while. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my career. I had worked Fortune 500 company. I had a top secret clearance. I did all kinds of crazy stuff. It was super fun. But I took a minute and I was like, I want to experience family life. I did that for a while. And I ended up getting hired by a woman who lives in New York, actually. Her name is Robin, and she is a trend tracker. So she works for a lot of industries, big industries. God, I can't think of who they are off the top of my head. Who makes Pantene? Like big companies.
Like Unilever.
Yes. Unilever.
Procter & Gamble.
Yes, P&G, Unilever, all her clients. And so she would track trends. And one of the trends that she tracked that I was working with her on understanding and publicizing and also helping to track and look at it from a social standpoint. So we were tracking these things together on social media, which was one of the things that I happened to be good at in my last career when it was kind of new, was how is this one that keeps standing out? And it was called Back to Basics. She had named this trend the Back to Basics trend. And it was this idea that had sort of to permeate social media on a lot of different levels in terms of how do we make food? Why are we using all these chemicals or these oils that might be bad for us that we don't need to use? Can we raise our own chickens and have our own eggs? Should we start using hair products that actually make our hair be more like itself and not like the old Vidal Sassoon mentality, which is into a shape? What is the actual shape that my hair wants to be? So I wonder if some of what we're experiencing now is all driven by social, but it's rooted in that back to basics mentality of people want to be more of who they are. And there's this message for all the garbage messages on social media. There are an equal number of great messages. And one of those is that you are enough as you are. The way you are made is enough. The way you're put together is just right. Hey, go back and find that. But I think people of our, Gen X, millennia, the people of an older generation than my Gen Alpha daughters, have experienced the marketing that told us we were never enough. And so we grew up feeling that way. Yeah. We weighed too much. Our hair was too frizzy. We didn't try hard enough.
Very, very, very small box that was acceptable.
Narrow.
And you had to shrink yourself and mold yourself and break yourself to fit into this box. You did it growing up in the 90s. I don't know why it was that way, but it was kind of loud and gaudy and very forced. Your hair had to be super, super sleek. You had to have these really chunky highlights, and that never occurs in nature. So you are always throwing something in your hair to get it to look that way. Like Allison said, we had to be so skinny. If you didn't look like a Holocaust victim, you weighed too much.
Horrible.
I love how Mags put it in our comments. She said, it's so refreshing now in the world that you don't have to look a certain way. You can just be yourself. And that is a big movement I've seen with the specialization in curly hair. We are hyper focused on bringing out how you were fearfully and wonderfully made, just exposing how you were created and allowing it to flourish in a time right after those glorious 90s where like we tried so hard.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, I think that's the thing. I think that, it really is that thing. And I think that it's to be bold in this space it takes more work. And what I mean by that is that at the end of the day, if I can create a problem, I can sell you a solution.
Right.
And so that is kind of that mechanism. And then really also, if people feel like, if you feel like you don't belong, you will buy into anything that allows you to be part of, right?
Well, we're herd creatures. That's how humans are wired.
And
we want
fear
to live
mongering
in a herd.
is the biggest sales tool. It's either people either sell by fear or they sell by love. Yeah. And fear is actually the greatest motivator.
Yep. And so this is such an interesting time to be in that space. And so I also think that it is this moment for y'all, like leaning into like curls and waves. It's also becoming like, it's also making up for a deficit, right? That didn't exist before.
Oh, that's a really good point. I'm glad
and it's like, so thank you for all your hard work. It's like, so that's really so interesting and so that's what we're kind of always trying to work on, right? Is to be like, how can we make things that are fundamentally just encourage the health of hair, because healthy hair actually performs in a really excellent way. It's really wild.
It's really amazing when it's healthy. Wow. What we learned was you better control that stuff. You better control it. And I feel like we're moving into kind of a non-conformist way of living our lives to some degree. I think it's healthy to conform in some ways when you have to like have hard conversations with people, etc. Like you don't just blow up, but like, how do you not conform to be yourself, but find that balance? And I think that just to kind of bring it back to you and to Hairstory as a brand, y'all have done such a beautiful job of creating products that allow your non-conformist hairstylists to do really cool, edgy stuff. And your like hairstylists like me and potentially Courtney, not to speak for you, Courtney, but like who want to just like take what's there and make it better. They also perform well for that. Like that's the coolest thing. And I just don't see I see other brands doing amazing things in the organic space, in the edgy space, but I feel like y'all have conquered sort of like all of that with thoughtfulness. I mean, not to like butter your biscuit, but I'm just saying, since we're in the South, I might as well use a little colloquialism we do understand.
Yes, please.
I just think that the products are so good in that respect. How is it? And was that the mentality when the company like first started? Because y'all have only been around for like a little over 10 years, right?
Yeah.
This is still a baby company.
Yeah, totally. So for us, for sure. I mean, I think that there was, I think part of the birth of New Wash, I don't know if people really know this, but part of one of our founders was Michael Gordon from Bumble and Bumble. And I worked at Bumble and we wielded hair like you wouldn't believe. I mean, and and I was there in a time when, it didn't matter what you came in with, you were leaving with a flat iron look. Like, I remember that moment, everybody. And and the room was like, there was a time.
It smelled of burnt hair.
It was like, it's so weird. Like there was like just this moment, like, I don't know. We're of the age where we remember what it used to be like to step into a smoky bar. Cause you used to, to let y'all know, you used to be able to smoke in bars all over the place. That is what a salon was like in the 90s and early 2000s. It smelled like a keratin. It smelled like a Japanese straightener. And there was a lot of heat coming out and steamy rooms during that time. So
y'all are so tough though. Y'all are such hairdressers from your era are so tough. I am such a delicate flower now. I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I want to carry that product. It makes my hands a little bit itchy. I do not have the toughness that you have. So I would like to applaud you for your efforts in surviving that.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I was like, wow, like, am I really going to survive like keratin fumes like blowing into my face, like in a New York City non-ventilated space? But it was so crazy, like, but Michael has curly hair. And so really, I think, and I think that was what was so cool is that he was really like, well, wait a minute, there's a problem. When I shampoo hair on this, I get this effect. So I think curly and wavy people have always known. They're like, shampoo kind of sucks, y'all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they were always like, why does like, it used to be like a thing where it'd be like, oh, like I shampooed, so it's a little angry.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever read The Curly Girl Method by Lorraine Massey?
No.
Like the classic from her story is so similar. So Lorraine Massey, curly, I mean the curliest, coarsest hair. And she started working in a salon probably around the time you did, maybe before. And the person would tell her, the owner of the salon, you need to straighten that. You need to shampoo that. And she had kind of figured out a similar thing where like, I shampoo my hair on this one day and I hate it for 4 days. And then by days 5, 6, and 7, I kind of like it. And then I have to start the whole cycle over again.
Totally.
Yeah.
That was really that logic of being like, well, what is it? And then, in the spirit of just kind of reducing, being like, wait a minute, it's these detergents, because we're really, and for me, it was like it was so interesting because I'd come from that wielded background. I'd come from kind of, a more editorial background. Like I was an editorial assistant, like I spent, so much time on a set. And so that's very controlled. That's a very controlled environment. And it was so wild for me to be like, to step into a space and get uncomfortable being like, oh, wait a minute, let this hair be. But then as I started to work, right, and unlearn stuff, it was a really amazing space because I realized something. I go, wait a minute, you keep reaching for all of these products because you're trying to make the hair look unshampooed. And I was like, holy, I don't know if that's on here.
Like light bulb moment you didn't know you were gonna have.
Right, because really, I was like, I kept reaching for stuff, and I was like, and then it was also that thing too, where I was like, culturally, we knew as hairdressers, right? And like, I don't know if you ever experienced this, like Courtney, where you had that moment, like at that hairdresser that'd be like, oh, just don't shampoo that much. Right? Yeah, like we had a little, that was what was so cool. And then I had this moment where I had this very deep respect for what we were building in that moment, because it was really like, I realized I was like, oh, this is what a company does when they're responsible.
Yeah.
So they're not asking me to ask my clients to change to suit the product. They are changing the product to suit the client.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a real ownership of that, you know, and I thought, wow, that's really interesting, you know, especially coming from that space, right?
So now it's my turn to butter your biscuit a little bit. I don't know, Wes, if you've had I don't expect you to have seen my channel. There's a few videos on there. And when I say a few, I mean 500. And I am horrible. I have played around with over 300 curly hair products over the past 7 years. I have tested out, documented. I'm supposed to be your friendly local high school chemistry teacher. So like there's this teacher mentality in me along with like the science. I want to understand why a thing does what it does.
Yeah.
And for one of my YouTube videos, donkeys years ago, and by donkeys years, I mean like 2, but it's the internet. So that's forever ago. So I went a whole month without shampooing my hair. What I did instead is I used all different co-washes. And of course, New Wash made it into that rotation. And I was so impressed with how New Wash performed. I used the New Wash Deep because I am an extremely oily, greasy human. Love that for me. And
your skin will never age. You're welcome.
Exactly. You will be here forever.
Yay. But it does mean,
totally.
It does mean that I deal with irritable scalp a lot. And that is why I had to like lock myself into a challenge for 30 days to not shampoo my hair. Because in the past, anytime I had gone a few days with like only co-washing, the itching, the inflammation, the angry scalp was so bad. New Wash actually made it possible for me to get through that and like actually have nicer hair on the end of the back end of it.
Yeah.
Which I was just stunned and floored by. There we go. Words, you know, being on a podcast, you'd think I'd be able to say words, not so much, but I was really, really impressed with how well it performed. I loved the addition of the apple cider vinegar in it. I feel like that made a big, big difference for me.
Yeah. And how is like, you know, and like, it's so interesting because we were kind of put in that category, right? Of being like,
co-wash.
Co-wash, right? Like that was so, I think that's so cool that you found us that way, because in reality, it's like, you know, when I think about like co-wash, right? Like the thing that pops into my brain is really, it comes back to that core thing that we were talking to a minute ago, right? Where it didn't feel like there was there wasn't really a responsibility to the consumer. So the consumer was actually changing behavior. So the birth of a co-wash, right? We think about it, we go washing with conditioner, right? And which is just really, I need something. Yeah. It's just like, I need something mild, right? Yeah. And then, you know, that won't strip, right? And so that I don't have to start all over again. And then really moving into that space where you're kind of like, oh, well, now we have something that it is detergent free, but it's designed to cleanse, right? Yeah. Like, so you don't have to compromise anymore. Like my hair doesn't need to look like me in order for my scalp to be clean, right? Because that was always the trade-off, right?
Right.
And even in my world, like even in a world where like, you know, even when I was kind of like having clients come in, and it wasn't necessarily that I was diffusing at that point, but maybe in between, right? Like where I was still like lightly blowing dry, reverting back to natural after the cut or whatever. When people would walk in, there was such an interesting moment where I'd be like, dang girl, you look good. Like your hair looks good. And they'd be like, really? I haven't shampooed in this many days. Like I always had that moment, right? And I was like, there's something here that keeps driving us back to the problem that we know, but we're just not talking about it. And I don't know if it's because it's not very sexy. Like cleansing and conditioning is boring, y'all. Like shampoo and conditioner is, as a hairdresser, I'm like, that is the most boring part for me. Like, I'm like, where's that salt spray? Where's that gel? Where's this, that? Like, I love the thing that I get to really play with. So I don't know if it's that or like what, but like, it just all kind of came came back to that. So that's so cool. I love, and I also think that you're part of this, you're part of this collective consciousness, right? To be like, you know what, let me do the work that, so that you don't have to. Like, I also think that's a really interesting moment in our time and in our history where we're like this was kind of like these social channels allowed people to have information from people who were really willing, like, you know.
And as content creators, we just reflect what our audiences want to see. So we see a comment, we see multiple people curious about a thing. And so we go out and we do that thing, and then we share that information, and that just kind of snowballs and compounds on itself. So I'm really just like a conglomeration of like middle-aged American women curious about how to get the best out of their hair.
You are the review. You are the review everybody wants. Like, reviews became so important. And so, like, when I started sharing my journey, and then you started sharing yours, and we were like talking about like, I did this day, and then this is what happened. And like, we became the reviews. And so when I was working in corporate America, one of the things we were studying was word of mouth marketing. Like, there was a whole organization called WAMA. It was Word of Mouth Marketing Association. And they were trying to figure out how to like capture word of mouth marketing. And then social media just blew up. And that is where we are today. And so to be able to like try products, like 300 products, Courtney, like, I don't know.
It's probably more, honestly. Sorry. It's bad.
If she's being honest, it's more. I mean, I have tried a lot of lines in my life as well. I have not been near as organized as you with like I did the spreadsheet thing early on with the like, what did I try? How did it come out? Here are my notes. You know what I mean? And then like, here are the variables. Here's the dew point. I wanted to connect the dots between the weather, the hair, the product. How did it live 2 days later? Like, I wanted to see the transformation bits and how all that worked together. And
very scientific.
Well, you know, I mean, we just kind of went about it different ways, and it's so complimentary, and it's so much fun to like be able to like see where we are now, and what are we talking about now, and how are we still approaching things, and then what brands are we trying and like pulling in. I would love to talk more too about Hairstory's process for creating products, because I mean, if y'all want to get hairstylists going, all you have to do is like start giving them samples to try 4 years before the actual product comes out. I'm just saying, I'm not bitter or anything. It was fun to try so many products. So I started trying Hairstory samples from you guys back in, I think it was 2021, like while we were still like COVID-y like times. And it was a time.
Oh, for sure. So I came and got my haircut with you, Allison, and you were using New Wash then.
Yes. Oh my gosh, so good. I mean, absolutely was loving the brand, and had not used shampoo on my hair in a couple years at that point, maybe one, I guess. It was kind of new to me at that point. But the gel samples started coming out, and y'all were like, let's see, let me tell you the story. So like I tried one, it was like a cream gel. I heard that it was based off of hair balm at the time. It was great, excellent, loved it. But then that one went away, and then y'all came out with some new ones. We got some creams, and we got some clear gels. And I was talking with Maddie. I can't remember her last name. I said, you know, Maddie. What is Maddie's last name? I know, what is it?
I know.
She's just Maddie. She's Maddie. She's just Maddie.
But there's actually, but it's like there's like, I don't want to say, because I know her, like, it's so funny because I'm like, am I gonna say her legal name? And it's like, because in the hairdressing world, like,
yes, there
are, you know, it's sometimes you have different last names for whatever reason.
Totally. I can't. What is her Instagram? Because now I have to find it. So
it's Curly Color Magic, right?
Yes, because she is always saying your curls are magic. Here we go, Curly Color Magic. Okay, here's Maddie, Curly Color Magic. She's obviously amazing.
Did she say her last name?
No, I don't think she even has her first name on there, but Maddie's amazing. So she's incredible. And she and I were trying products at the same time. Here she is doing her thing with her beautiful hair. She's amazing. So if you're listening to this, I'm showing an image from Instagram of Maddie, who is at Curly Color Magic on Instagram, doing her thing. She is amazing. She and I was getting my hair cut by a friend of hers next door, and Maddie and I were chatting because she was also trying your products. And she said, "Oh, I absolutely hate the gels." And I was like, "I absolutely hate the creams." And she said, I found out that that Hairstory is trying to create one gel for all hair types. And there was a funny little awkward pause, and then we both started laughing because we were like, "That's not possible. This is not going to work." Because all the gels would flake on her client's hair.
Yep.
All the creams were too heavy on my client's hair. So we just kept rolling with it. Whatever y'all would send us, we would try. But I loved that you included us, like so many different people, different areas of texture, different areas of experience. It was so much fun to be able to try those. I want to know more about the process that you guys go through when you involve stylists in creating a new product, because it took a long time for styling gel to come out, but it was worth the wait.
Long time. For us, it's really, really interesting, right? Like, so the way that I kind of think about it is it's really understanding that everybody has a unique lens, right? And then I think there's a hunger for, real people using it on real people. I think that's so important. So the way that it works for us is this. We either hear little whispers, right? Like, so because it's a really kind of close-knit environment, right? At Hairstory, right? So we hear chatter that travels.
Are these chatters coming from like comments on social media?
They could come there. They could come from our clients. Mostly they're coming from our hairdressing network, where they're like, "I would love this. I would love, 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 love. When are y'all gonna make this? When y'all gonna," like, it's like there's a thing, and it's like.
But you have that line with them, like you guys are available.
Yeah, for sure. And so it's really, it's not that in our world nothing moves fast, because we're not a Unilever, we're not a big thing. So for us, everything has to go in its time, and then there's scrutiny to everything, right? So we hear the whispers, then we kind of do a little chime in, like, what in an ideal world, if something were possible, what would be the dream?
We're not saying it's going to happen, but
exactly. And so then we get that feedback, and then we go, okay, so let's get it to the lab, right? And then the lab will kind of make like a lot of samples of different types of things. And then what we do is first place that we do is we go into the 5th floor. And the 5th floor, the way Hairstory works is there's a 4th floor and there's a 5th floor in New York. And our 5th floor is actually a real studio. It's where hairdressers work out of. It's where we shoot the content. It's where we host educational classes. Like, so it really is designed around hair. And we have a group of hairdressers that work out of the studio on the regular. And we have people who pop up all the time to also kind of like, do a model, do whatever, right? And so we start there and we go, is any of this that's made worth anything? Meaning, sometimes we get stuff and we're like, boo, this is not for me. Like, this is
y'all are testing it out in a real world application setting on multiple different heads of hair. And that's very unique. I don't think there are a lot of other brands that do that I know of. Yeah.
So that's where we start. And we're just like, hey, we're like, and then if we
and y'all are the ones testing, like y'all, it's 4th floor, 5th floor. Y'all can see how the testing's going. It's not that you're a big company shipping off samples here, thither and yon, and you don't see how the hairstylist used it or the user used the product. You're actually seeing, okay, wait, yep, I think that's good. Now we move on to the next step.
Yes. So the next step is for us to ship out, right? Yeah. Because the reality is like, I love Allison. I love Maddie. I love April. Like, all of these, I love all of these people that we work with. And so I have to ensure, I have to be a steward of hairdressing as well. Like, part of my job is to kind of look through the artistic lens, make, that's kind of brand work. But like, I'm a hairdresser. I've been a hairdresser for over 20 some years. So for me, it's like our process has to be like, okay, we vetted this, so I'm not wasting someone's time. And now we got it at baseline. And then there's variables of things that we're like, this could be really great, but I need that nuanced lens, because I know if I ship it to Allison, that you're going to notice every, how the hair really responded on each individual client. So that's what's cool too, is it's like, it's not even just like you're testing it on yourselves, then you're going to your clients, right? And then once you like go to the clients, you go, well, it worked on this one, but I have this one and this was a no-go. So it's like we're gathering this information and then just reducing until we reach a point where we can create something that we feel really does the best for the most, right?
I remember getting a number of surveys from you over time. Survey here, how was this one? What did you like about it? What textures did you use it on? Did you blow dry the hair? This was very detailed information. And that was super, super helpful to even help me think through like, oh, I did do that, because that is when you're in the middle of hairdressing, you're just doing it. You're reading the hair, you're seeing what it needs, you do it. So that was super important.
So great.
So I would love to get your thoughts on this.
Mm-hmm.
We had a question from Amy. She says, do you think a product under a gel would help keep my hair clumped? Something for low density, easily weighed down hair. And I would like to talk about the Hairstory gel.
Yeah.
And in that aspect, would you add something under the Hairstory gel in order to keep the hair clump together?
I would, but I would also really be aware of the amounts.
Yeah.
Right. So like, for me, and I'm a learner here too, right? Like I'm constantly learning and growing. And so, the way that I think about it, the way that I was taught is really, it's really water, right? We're really talking about water, and water is really our main, this is the main
Hydrator.
secret sauce, right? And really the goal is to be like, how can I, and then I can add moisture to that, but then how do I keep all that encapsulated, right? Like this is the way that I have been taught to think about this. So I would say yes, but I would but I would start small and see where you go. Cause it's like one of those things, like I would recommend a little bit of light gel, very wet hair, and then put on, I would do balm, and then I would do a little bit, and then I would follow it up with gel on very wet hair. It would be, and I think and then what are your thoughts? Allison's like, no.
No. I agree. I see that she provided kind of that. I'm going to pop this up real quick, Courtney. Yeah. She provided kind of a precursor question with a little bit of detail where she said her curls separate as soon as she starts styling them. So she's using a gel. She's using a gel, but nothing under it. So then the question was in the next comment. So she said, my curls separate as soon as I start styling them, soaking wet hair with a little bit of kinky curly leave-in. So she's leave-in and straight to gel. And then she's using that Not Your Mother's Flash Freeze gel. It's the only thing that gives her a cast. So I have two questions for you. You said, yes, I would experiment with quantity. So you'd put a little bit of a little bit of cream under any gel, right? To experiment with quantities. How important do you, as someone who's handled lots of textures of hair over the years, feel like a gel cast really is? What does that indicate? Is it everything? Is it nothing? Does it not matter? Does it matter a lot?
Key. I think so, because for me, I'm trying to lock in this shape when it is in its best shape, right? Like I'm trying to boom, and I'm just trying to be like, just don't, my whole thing is
don't move, stay.
If someone is telling me I'm having trouble in the styling phase, then for me, if I were sitting across from someone, I'd be like, how busy are you getting? Meaning, are you getting a little touchy? You know what I mean? I'm like, let it all lock in.
Too handsy with the hair, doing too much.
Yeah. Or sometimes, we like this motion. There's a lot of
we diffuse too fast, we plop too fast, we kind of get aggressive and get in a hurry.
One of the things I tell my clients too, when we have the products in and we've scrunched everything is at this point, trust the mess.
Yes.
Trust the mess. Because if you start trying to mess with that part and comb this part out and do all these things, your curls are going to fall apart. You have to trust that the mess will expand as the hair dries and turns into something magical. And then you can make some little tweaks here and there. But if you keep trying to fix it, you're going to overfix it. That's what I've experienced. Have you experienced the same kind of thing?
I think 1000%. And I have been the problem myself. Like I have been the hairdresser that has had to learn to stop. Like I'm like, you guys are listening, but like I need to like smack my hand. Cause I got bored. Suddenly that diffuser's all up in the hair.
Yeah.
Like, and it leaves like a frizzy mess because I'm like, you got bored. And you are like, you stopped hovering.
Yeah.
You know, and then you just started really going in there. And now someone looks like it all looks frizzy and it all looks crazy because you got in the way of the process.
Unless they want that. And then
be very cool.
So much of it is what does the client want? And so you're reading the hair at the same time that you are reading the person and talking about what they prefer.
1000%. And that's the deal. Like I think that's also the shift in our thought process is like, for all of these things, really at the end of the day, it's like understanding a couple things, that techniques lead you to a result, right? And so the difference between right and wrong, in my opinion, is really understanding the result that you want to get. So if you're like, bruh, I am like feeling myself with like a full on frizz.
Yeah.
Girl, I'm here for it. I'm like Italian Vogue all day long, y'all.
Italian
Vogue. Let's go. Like I'm like, yes. And if you're confident and that's your vibe, then like let's do it, you know? And so I think that's really the difference, is being like, yo, if you're like, no, my hair is like, if you look at me and you go, my hair is too defined, I want it to be a little bit messier, which I've had that moment. Like I've had that moment too, where like I've had clients that are like, my hair is too ringlety. And they're like,
It doesn't look real.
Yeah.
They feel too childlike.
Right.
They're like, I don't feel sexy because it's too doll-like, it's too little kitty, you know. And I'm like, well, break a couple apart, like live your best life. Like it's okay. Like that can be cool.
Sometimes can feel fussy. Like if it's too done, to me, in my mind, I call that like an editorial haircut or an editorial style. As an editorialist, you might agree. Where like if I walk outside, this is not going to hold up, and I feel too anxious about messing it up. So this is going to work for me. Mess it up some. So if the wind does it, I'm not mad.
Mess it on.
I did notice something that Amy said. She said that she had low density hair that's easily weighed down. And in my brain, I'm going, ding, ding, ding. Wait a second. Why do you want your clumps to be bigger? If you have low density hair and you keep running into a situation where you feel like your hair's not clumped enough, like each individual clump isn't chunky enough, perhaps your natural curl clumps are smaller. And if your hair is constantly weighed down, perhaps you've been trying to force your hair to clump into a way that it doesn't want to do naturally. Me personally, I thought there was a cash money prize for having the biggest curl clumps. So I was always shooting for the biggest curl clumps. It wasn't until I started allowing my hair to be in smaller curl clumps that it like sprung up and got wavier and curlier and looked like it had more shrinkage. It was because I was trying to force them into giant clumps when in fact they wanted to be a little bit smaller. So Amy, if that's what you're running into, I would dial back the leave-in, up the amount of water. I know you said you style on soaking wet hair, add more. You think it's soaking wet, add more. Then add a layer of gel. If the curl clumps kind of fall apart a little bit on you when you start scrunching it in, add more water, add more gel. Just keep sandwich water gel over and over and over until you hit that desired result. Usually that's like maybe 2-3 applications of gel and water max before you hit that sweet spot. But that's what I'm thinking. That's what came to my brain when I read that question.
Also, like, would y'all recommend, because remember, Allison, when I was like, we were doing this thing together before and you were like, get those rainbows right. Remember when you were like the clips?
The clips. Yes. Like, okay.
And how early in the process? I mean, immediately, right? Like
how early in the process? You know what? It really depends. But most of the time, I don't like to root clip at the very beginning because the hair is so wet and heavy that like, yes, you can do that if you're like juggling people and you're like, I'm going to do this real fast and put you under the stationary dryer and I got to take my next person. Absolutely 100%.
But at home.
Yes. But at home, and if I'm taking my time and I'm really trying to educate a client, I'm like, this is what I want you to do at home. It is get your hair to like 70-80% dry, and then figure out, where do I look flat? Where do I have a cowlick splitting everything? And then take those clips, and like, then you can use fewer because you're putting them right where you need them. And your hair's not so heavy that they're going to fall over. And then you kind of still have time as those bonds are reforming, as your hair is still going from wet to dry, maybe from warm to cool because you're diffusing it. You're able to impact the shape of that, because as a wavy, as you know, Wes, like we need some runway for our waves to develop. Yeah. And so like without these little double prong clips that I pick up at Sally's for next to nothing, they create, if you're a wavy, my question for you is this. Have you ever experienced the ponytail dent? The ponytail dent is everything. If you experience the ponytail dent, then you have wavy hair growing up if you got the ponytail dent, because people with really straight hair didn't actually get that. It would just kind of fall out. And people with really curly hair were like, what are you talking about? My hair is just actually curly, right? So the dent is what you're creating with these little clips. When you create those little rainbows up at the top, a little rainbow right there up at the top. Creating little dents intentionally for once in my life that translates to being like texture. I love those.
And I loved that trick too, because you know what, like, I think what's so hard is to get into a space where people can get it was really like, for me, when I was learning that from you, it was like, oh, cool. Like there was definition, because sometimes what happens is like, it would get like overcharged. Have you ever, you know what I'm talking about, where you're like, ooh, I got so much volume, but I broke all this apart, and then it was kind of just big.
Yes.
And we have an association with that because of where we're from, right? Like, you know, I'm like,
the taller the hair, the closer to God. A little too tall, but I like that. Like that. Sometimes that look still translates.
Exactly.
In Dallas, it's more of a smooth blowout. You know, we're not anywhere close, as Courtney knows too, in Abilene, we're nowhere close to a beach. If you want a beachy vibe, it still has to have like a smoothness to it. It doesn't translate. I moved to Dallas from Virginia Beach, which is where I had started really embracing my waves, because there was no point when the dew point is 90, like all summer long, and you're just breathing water. Like there's nothing that you can do to get your hair to be straight. You just give up on that. So then when I moved to Dallas, and it was like, okay, well, big hair is in, I'll just keep wearing my waves. That didn't really translate. And I had to figure out how to kind of make them work. But then at the same time, I was trying to make that work. The world was shifting, and that back to basics trend was taking hold. Really? So I popped up a question, Wes, because I wanted to ask you, is the gel for every texture? We have a question here from Kieran, and she says, I'm wondering why my individual hair strands might feel bumpy. I've been caring for my waves for the past year and didn't notice this before. Is there a possibility my hair is sensitive to polyquats? I don't know if the polyquats would play into that, but I'd be interested in your take. I'm just wondering if she has a beaded cuticle, which is something that, you know, you can have with typically a very coarse or strong texture. I don't love the word coarse often because it has a connotation, but like if you have really thick hair strands individually, a beaded cuticle is something that's really fairly common. And she could just be paying more attention to her hair. But I'd be curious on your take to that. And would something like the Hairstory styling gel work for this person's texture, if that is the case, as well as our previous person asking the question that had a finer hair type? Like, who all is this for, and what would you counsel her about her texture?
So I think it's like, I mean, we really focused in on creating something that would have the most universal appeal, right? Do I think that it's going to be 1000% for every single person? It depends upon I think if you're a person who loves a custard, this is not a custard, right? Like, so that's not going to be the product for you. So that's really going to be the difference but at the same time, I also know people who are like, I'm doing a twist out at this point that are obsessed with this. Like Maddie was one of the people who were like, hey, when I twist out, this is amazing. But she also loves the custard, right? So like, that's the thing. So she's not reaching for this when she's looking for custard, right? And that's okay, right? Like, we're like, we got room to grow. Like, that's cool. Like, but we want to make sure that we're not making things to just make them for making its sake, right? Like, we're not interested in 25 million different products, you know, and we know this because I mean, we make 3 detergent-free cleansers, right? And you know, and like anybody who's ever been anywhere at this point knows that a hair company brand will make a shampoo and conditioner at a drop of a dime. You get one gray hair in the front and they got a shampoo and conditioner for you. They just love to make a shampoo. They love to make a lot of stuff, right? And so like, this is about our commitment to reduction and examining that as an idea. So yes, and then but it's not a custard, right? So that would be but I think we have had really, 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 really awesome results. And then also my friend, you know, April, who does like a lot of curly hair, she's like, I don't like a custard for my clients, right? Like I actually prefer not to have that because I don't find it universal and I want things that are really universal. So it's really like, so it's such a cool question. And I do find that we found the best of that space. But then I also know like, you know, people who like fucking hate gel.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you know, and our friend here with the beaded texture, she might be someone who needs to maybe reach for hair balm. Maybe hair balm is the thing for her on the day to day. Something pliability, moisture, flexibility, like that might be the thing. I wouldn't be able to know why it's bumpy. Is it a product buildup situation? If this is new, I would definitely try clarifying.
She said she hasn't noticed this before, and I'm wondering if it is that condition where she does just have a beaded hair strand, but she never noticed it before because she was using products that were very silicone heavy, and they may have been masking that from her previously. No telling. Until we can get our fingers on her hair.
We want more details. Leave them, definitely, friend. Leave them in the comments when we post these videos afterwards. We'll be able to go back.
And then Allison, and then Courtney, I have a question for y'all. Like speaking of hair kind of returning to its state, right? Like, you know, there's, I think like for most folks that I know, when we're trying to get hair back to its natural place, I sometimes have to peel back other things that have happened, right? Which means could be silicone buildups, that type of thing. Did you guys, how have you used the pre-wash?
I haven't yet. I have a sample of it and I keep staring at it. I was actually saving it for our Grateful Curls challenge.
Oh, okay.
Good. I recommended that one to you, didn't I, Courtney? Yes, because Courtney has so much hair. It's hard to get to her scalp. And I think
these are the kind of hair ties I have to use in order to keep it.
She doesn't look like she has that much hair. Wes, there's so much. There's so much.
Wow.
There's so much. So, cool. So without having to say that again, the micellar cleanser is for you. The pre-wash is everything for you, for sure. I recommend that because to my clients that have a ton of hair, like you just can't get to the scalp, like that whips its way through and you just like rub it in and you can feel it working. You can smell it working. It does. It starts doing some stuff. And then you still have the benefit of using New Wash. So
totally.
I will be really interested in hearing how that works for you. And if it makes New Wash like the thing you want to reach for every time. You're like, I know you guys want me to try a new shampoo, but no thanks, because I found my true love. We'll see what happens.
I do have a couple of questions for Wes. Selfishly, I have some questions for Wes. But I am interested in what Amanda said. She said, hello from another Oklahoman. Comparison between the Colton King Cream Pop and New Wash. I have fine wavy hair, working on frizz without weighing it down.
So comparison. So I would love to give you a comparison, but I've got to be very, very honest with you. I did a thing a long time ago where I'd come from this extremely a lot. I mean, I came from those places where we had a lot of product, not as much as you can get in some places, but we had a lot of product. And so when we started Hairstory, I said, okay, here's your challenge, bro. You gotta like stop using, and then we only had like 3 like things. And so I've just been on a road of like just using everything that we make for so long that I have to be honest with you, I've never tried that one. So I can't really give you any comparison factor for between that product and the new wash.
I have used it. I
Okay.
have played with it. I love Colton King. They're one of my favorite brands. And I played with that one. I think they're fantastic. Cream Pop is way more moisturizing. In my experience, it is more like New Wash Rich and possibly richer. It's like a thicker conditioner. For me, it is too conditioning on a day in and day out basis, especially in the humid place that I live in Dallas. I mean, it's not the most humid, but if I lived somewhere like New Mexico or, closer to the Mojave in California, where it's pretty dry all the time, a high desert kind of situation, I think that might be something I would probably reach for New Wash Rich or Cream Pop more often. But it's much more like it's got more of that oil factor, that heavy factor, and it's a beautiful formulation. It's just way more moisturizing than the New Wash Deep and the New Wash Original.
And then if they have finer hair, I mean, are you feeling like the original is like, would be the way to go there?
For me, I only carry the original in my salon.
Yeah.
I find that it works for about 90% of my clients. It seems to do the most. Someone like Courtney with a lot of hair who is a lot oilier, deep is the one for her, for sure. Yep. And then I have a couple of clients who started out with the original and then ordered Rich online and said, I just really like the Rich. I think it's got avocado oil in it, if I remember just off the top of my head, that makes it that extra, like, boom, much more moisture. And they love that one. So I think that it's great that you have those because you don't offer a separate conditioner. So this is the thing that has to do it all. Yes. And that makes it really special. So I thought at first when I started carrying originals, like, why do they have these 3? Like, it seems superfluous to have so many, but I understand now, having worked with you guys for so long and recommended you to so many clients and other stylists, that it's foundational to your entire brand. Yeah. This is your cleanser and your conditioner. That is so foundational what you do. And you were talking earlier about how you get more excited playing with like the products that make the hair do things rather than the other stuff. I get really excited about the cleansers because I really find that a really good cleanser and conditioner that's so foundational is so hard to find. Like, this is the thing that your whole routine is built on. And so if your hair is healthy, but it's also clean, like, you can get your hair to do anything and be good. You can use different products and get the same results. Consistency is the thing that I think most wavies have a hard time achieving. And even still, consistency is difficult because hair is difficult, but it gets easier when your hair is well moisturized and it's hydrated and it's healthy. And so using a cleanser like that that's not overstripping it, especially the longer it gets, is so, again, foundational in my experience.
And I also feel like this. I mean, I also feel like that's the thing too. It's like also when we think about the new washes, right? Like, and in the spirit of reduction of all things being reduced, and I know we're at time, I'm so sorry. I'm a talker. But the thing is, this is thinking about it like this, thinking about it like the way that you think about skincare, right? Like, we needed your scalp. If your scalp is oily, you need something, right? If you're kind of like, hey, I need to cleanse, but I don't get like too oily. I kind of think about the original as kind of like Goldilocks. I'm not too oily. I'm not too dry. Okay, cool. I'm right there. I hate the word normal, so I don't want to use that the way that
don't use it.
Use it. Yeah. And then you have people that are really like, my scalp and my hair feel like they get a little thirsty. And then I have people that swap seasonally, actually.
Right. That makes so much sense. That
are like, boom, it's time. This is not doing it for me. Time to move on to my Rich in these winter months. So, yeah. So I think of it like that. So if you ever get stuck too, just ask yourself that question. Like, if I were to look at my scalp and my kind of like, and think of it in the terms of like skincare.
Yes.
This is the direction I would go.
And you never think about because it's hiding under here. Yes.
Exactly. So,
So Wes, I have a selfish question for you.
Sure.
I got to use the new wash a few years ago for that challenge that I did where I didn't shampoo for a month. and I used the New Wash Deep, and I noticed it had hydrolyzed keratin in it.
Mhm.
Well, because I'm Courtney and I have squirrel moments and get distracted by new shiny objects and want to try more products because it's a problem with me, I didn't use it for a while. And recently I repurchased the New Wash Deep, and I noticed that there was no longer the hydrolyzed keratin in the US formula. Yeah. But in like the UK formula, there's the hydrolyzed keratin in it. Am I looking too hard? What
no,
happened?
You're not. So really there is a simple answer to this question. So what you're referring to is a derivative of sheep's wool. Okay. So that's where we got our keratin from. Okay. So we sustainably sourced it, and it was sheared, right? You know, you have to shear them. But by default, this is a animal byproduct and therefore not vegan. Okay. So that's the way that it works for you know, it's not that, you know, it's not like we're like throw in a little tallow, honey, and like let's get a wash in. It's not that level of like, but it doesn't matter because the reality is it's non-vegan because of the sheep's wool that we used for the keratin. And the way that it works for us is we did a lot of research on how we could move forward, and we tested. Did you test this one too, Allison, or did we?
I did test that one. When you took, are you talking about the New Wash?
The vegan.
The vegan New Wash, yes, because I think it originally had honey in it, right? And you guys were making a real strong push to go fully vegan throughout your line.
Yep. Yes. So what we did in that case is we found something that really kind of like would replace it, and we thought was really beneficial, called baobab. And so that's a really, so this is the trick. So when you're seeing that in the UK versus the US, there's a little bit of confusion sometimes, because what happens is this. We live in that world, right? Like, let's get real. Like we live in a world where things can be a little heightened, right? And they're like, oh my God, they have one formula for here and one formula for there. That's not the way it works for us. We are phasing the other one out. And so we don't just throw away good product, because we do have clients that were like, I love this formula, great, you know, whatever, like, you know, who didn't have an issue with it, didn't have a conflict with it being non-vegan because of the fact that it was a derivative of shearing sheep and not, you know, killing them, not slaughtering them to make this product work. And so we don't just dump out products. So that's the way it is. But eventually it will be done. We will not continue to make a non-vegan one. So that is the answer. That's a very long
people like me. I know there are people out there like me that read ingredients labels way too much. So I just
we see them change all the time, and they'll put. I remember when Diva Curl changed up an ingredient in their mousse a long time ago. It was like they put a little sticker on there that was like new look. They redone the bottle. It's like same great formula, and I was like, is it though? And then like I looked at the two bottles. I was like, it's not. You lie, because you had polyquaternium 6,9 in the first version as your second ingredient, and now it's polyamide 1, and that is not the same thing.
And this is what the curly girls do. This is how we are.
We are insane.
And this is also why, like, it's so important when we're in that testing phase to like get it. It's like, I love this level of like insanity. Like this is like, this is why it always turns out great. And this is why your feedback for us is so valuable, because we're literally like, yes, give us more, give us more, give us more. And it's like super detailed. So I super, super love it.
I would like to end with this one little comment here from Jill. She says, it's so wonderful to see professionals talk about curly hair. I'm turning 37 soon and finally found products that work for my curls. I have been ridiculed by hairdressers for my curly hair for years. Like,
I want to go talk to
that, but that wasn't a you problem. That was a I'm scared of your hair problem. Let me fix it for you. And that's still something that I think that so many wavies and curlies are trying to escape. What is that movie with Anne Hathaway where she like starts out curly and she's like a total mess, and then she's like
Princess Diaries.
The Princess Diaries.
And hard by that movie. It's fine, but it came out in the 90s. Okay.
But that's how it was. And we're all trying to escape is that if I straighten my hair, then I'm beautiful. We're still there a little bit, but thank you for the comment, Jill. That really helps us out, because we really are always excited to talk about curly and wavy hair. It is everything. So Wes, we invite you to participate with us in this 30-day challenge. So up until, your hair is beautiful, Wes. Up until December. You're so cute. Until December 17th. That is when our challenge ends. So it starts today. So y'all print this little sheet out here. This is super fun. Courtney and I both have links to this. So if you're a Courtney follower, head over to Courtney's page, grab this. It's the same document we're doing today. Head over to mine. We're doing it the same way. It's going to be super fun. So this will kind of guide what we talk about in our next several podcasts. And it is really all about picking 3 categories of things. One of those is a cleanser. It can be clarifying. It can be gentle. It can be a cleansing conditioner, all of them. Whatever you want to use, that's fine. The goal is to just stick with it. So if you want a clarifying shampoo, if you want to use the micellar pre-wash from Hairstory and you want to use new wash like Courtney is planning to do, use that. That's your set that you've chosen. If you plan to do a deep condition, so conditioner is also that, a rinse out, leave in, a deep treatment. If you're going to do that regularly, that's fine. Just plan to do it consistently. The next thing is your styling products. So you're going to use a cream, a foam, a gel, a mousse. If you want to use all of them, that's fine. We don't care. What we really want you guys to learn here as we're going into 2026, and we want you to be grateful for your curls. This is the Grateful Curls 30-day challenge.
We're going to, instead of running out and buying a new product and blaming the product for how your hair turned out, no. We are grateful for our curls. We are grateful for the products that we have. We're going to intentionally use these products. So we're locking you in a box. We are throwing you into a 30-day challenge wherein you cannot switch these products whatsoever. We've talked a lot about buckets on our podcast. We have a cleanser bucket, conditioner bucket. Put one product in those buckets for 30 days and lock yourself in, and only change one element of your wash day every time you wash your hair, and you have to pay attention to the result in order to learn
your hair, play with the quantities, play with the application. We're not saying don't buy new things, because Black Friday is coming up, because there is a Hairstory sale going on right now. Like, you can't deny yourself everything in the world, and you can play with these things once the 30-day challenge is up, because then you will really know what they bring to the table, because you will understand your hair. So product quantities, application techniques, drying techniques, these are the things we're all going to be talking about. So tune into the podcast, because we're going to be going through those really specific things that you can be experimenting with. So if you need ideas, keep an eye on our socials, listen to the podcast live or after the fact. And I know we wanted to do one special thing with Wes, and that is for 5 of you on this. Yes, we're going to do it. Okay.
Yeah,
so
let's do it.
5 of you guys that listened live today are going to each get a free Hairstory styling gel. We just really wanted to give you guys something exciting and fun. So Wes, you get to pick the 5. So maybe it's the people that we answered questions for.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go with the people.
Okay. So if we answered a question, let's go through and find our 5 people that are going to win a styling gel.
This is like me, like trying to be like read stuff like I'm like, let me get my glasses.
Okay, while he's looking for them, Courtney, is there anything that you, when you find them, Wes, just add their names to the comment box at the bottom, and then so we'll tag them, and then we'll get their information. Courtney, is there anything that you would like to add about this Grateful Curls challenge that we kind of came up with like on the cuff, and then had to like talk on the phone a few times to iron out? Like, we need actual like parameters. What would you like to add?
I would like to add that I am very grateful for my co-host, Allison. I went crazy and tried to make it overly complicated, like way too much,
You're just detailed, and I love that about you.
And Allison's all about simplicity and clarity. So we really did meet in the middle. There are some guidelines and parameters, but give yourself some grace. Just track the wash days. Just use the same products for 30 days. Change one element of your wash day. Maybe you rake your gel in one wash day and plop your hair the same and diffuse your hair the same. And maybe the next day you glaze that gel on and scrunch it in and see what happens. Learning which application techniques, which diffusing techniques, if wet plopping really works well for you, if dry plopping works really well, if micro plopping is what works best for you. all of these tiny little details that once you get them really dialed in for your hair, you can use just about any set of products and get half decent results.
And if you don't know what some of these things mean, micro plopping versus regular plopping, we will be talking about those in depth. So be sure to listen live, listen after the fact. If you're wanting those kinds of descriptions, we'll be talking about all of that. This has a little calendar aspect on it. It is teeny. This is just a place for you to, Courtney and I have talked for years about making sure that you record details from your wash days. That's how you remember, because our brains are not really built to remember. Our brains are meant to do. So this is your record for just 30 days to put a happy face on a day where you had like a really good wash day, a sad face on a day when you were not happy. You can write down wash day, maybe it's WD, maybe you write down refresh, RD. You come up with your own code. This is just your little sheet for you to use. Tape it to your bathroom mirror. And then here, you're going to write some things that you've learned about your hair. So go through this and be sure to, before you even start, what are your goals? What are some of your personal goals for this challenge? Don't overthink it. Write down just 3 things. I want to know a gel that my hair really likes. I want to get consistency out of my wash day. I'm tired of overusing products, something. And just don't overthink it. Just dive in. Just do it. There's no wrong answer. And you can even scribble all over this. And if you end up not loving it, you can throw it away, or it may become a keepsake that you keep for years to come, and you print them out and give them to your family members, even though the challenge has ended. So we are so grateful for you guys. Thank you for being here with us today. Wes is finding our 5 winners.
Yep, I put it in there. I put it in our chat. I couldn't do the other part, so
you put it in our chat. Okay, yes. Okay. These are the winners. I love who you picked. One of them is I Am the Princess. I love that. That's not me talking. That's one of the people that Wes picked. So if you are I Am the Princess, please DM on Instagram, me or Courtney, so that we can find you and get your contact information. So I Am the Princess. Wes has also chosen Amy Grant, not the singer, but the AIMEE Grant. Does anybody even know who Amy Grant is anymore?
I do, of course.
Of course you do, because it's Amy. Okay, Amy Grant. We have Mark. Oh, I know you, Mark. Hi, Mark. Mark has been a follower of mine for such a long time. We have talked hair since 2016. So Mark P5267 messaged me on YouTube. I don't even know if you can do that, but on Instagram. And we've got Kieran Maloney. And we have Amanda Kate. So those are our 5 winners of the Hairstory Styling Gel. Wes, you're so generous. Thank you for doing that. That's so sweet. We really want everybody to be able to try it. And don't you guys forget that there is a Hairstory sale going on right now. I will provide details about that on my YouTube and my Instagram. And if you get my newsletter, you should have already received it. I know Courtney will be talking about it as well, because y'all don't do sales very often, but
we don't do sales very often. But also and what's really cool, I think, about that, like, definitely, like, whoever you're like following, like, I know you're probably following everybody, but whether it's Courtney or Allison. So if you've never purchased before, it's 25%. But if you are a reoccurring Hairstory person, you're getting 20%. So you're not like locked out of it. Sometimes it feels a little bit like, well, what about me? I buy all the time, so this is a great way for you to stock up.
I don't know of any other brands where you subscribe to something and then after they have you as a subscriber, they ever offer you a discount ever again. Like you're in there using fake email addresses. Not that I've ever done this.
Allison, what are you trying to tell us?
It's the first day vitamins. They're so expensive. They're so good.
The gig is up and you just put it out there. So.
Oh my God. So anyway, aside from that, you don't have to do that. If you are already subscribing to Hairstory, you get to try some new products. You get to stock up on the things that you love. Get the big ass bag of New Wash for 20% off. Get the big ass bag.
It's so good.
So good. Wes, this was awesome.
Y'all.
You are a champ. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me. It was so fun. Bye, y'all.
Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us. As always, we cannot wait to see you in the next episode of 2 Wavy Girls on the Internet. We have how many more episodes, Allison?
I think we just have 4. So we have
4
one
more
to catch up
episodes
on,
of
I think,
season
because we had to
2.
take a break. We will be out next week for Thanksgiving. We will be eating. We will just be eating starting on Wednesday and Thursday and probably also on Friday because there will be leftovers and maybe Saturday. So a holiday of eating is my kind of holiday. So we will be doing that. So we will miss you guys next week. But that is just time for you to catch up on our previous episodes and to work on your Two Wavy Girls Grateful Curls Challenge and to try your new Hairstory products. Nope, you're not trying them. You're buying them and then you're saving them for after the challenge. We will see you guys the first week of December. Have a fabulous holiday.
Bye.
Bye, friends.